Absolute banger. Coming up this weekend at 145 pounds, we have Slovakia's Ludwig Klein taking on the Train, Nate Landwehr. And I don't know who has a better nickname, the Highlight, the Train. I personally like Mr.Highlight, but when I look at these guys' fighting styles, they do live true to their nicknames. Because for Nate Landwehr, former M1 global champ at 145 pounds. And listen, when you're an American fighting for a Russian promotion like that sometimes holds events in the mountains in open air, you're probably not meant to win. And you go back and watch some of his fights, and I saw the referees give a little bit more time to the Russian fighters to kind of fight back, and it just didn't happen.
The old Fedor Emelianenko, Fabio Maldonado.
Landwehr comes to the UFC, full head of steam, takes on Herbert Burns, gets knocked out. And Landwehr was a guy that was always known for his wild fighting style and his durability. He got his chin checked in that one, no big deal. Goes out there, fights Darren Elkins. Matt, Darren Elkins is a takedown machine. How many takedowns did he get in that fight?
Only one.
Oh, come on. Inside Baseball, we filmed a lot of these videos once. The audio didn't pan out. Matt acted really surprised and didn't know that Darren Elkins went 1 for 13.
I thought he got more, to be honest.
Yeah, he went 1 for 13 out of his takedown attempts against against Landwehr. They had a crazy fight. Landwehr wins the decision. So then he goes out there and he fights Julian. And to me, it was like, okay, well, this one's in the bag. Landwehr wins this one. What happened in that fight, man?
Juicy J rides again. I don't know. He needs a t-shirt or something. Like, Julian Erosa, just when you think you should count him out, he can fly near you. He can beat Charles Jourdain by submission. Like, he can pull a rabbit out of the hat. And that's what he did against Nate Landwehr.
It's like he almost has this key to the vault that is the coal mine against an old-time steam engine. He just goes, you know what? We're locking that one up. We're stopping that hype train and see you later. But
weird comparison.
When I look at this one, Matt, for Ludwig Klein, a guy coming into the UFC that I was so excited about because he has that great head kick. He has that great right hook. He has so many different things when it comes to striking that are very valuable for a top prospect and a guy that had so much experience, and that was the big key. I looked at Ludwig Klein, a guy representing Slovakia, like I did with Czech Republic's, or Czechia, if you want to call it that, and I know a lot of people are fired up about that, but go Google that one on Wikipedia. It's Czechia now. Not Chechnya, Czechia. You want to have fun? We're learning here. But when I look at it for Ludwig Klein, like guys that have come before him, like the Peter Bondras and the Miroslav Shatans, this guy is a dynamo, and he has a lot of fun coming into the cage. He is a great striker that's added to it a little bit of wrestling, which was kind of to his demise a little bit in his last fight against Mike Trizano, and I'm going to talk about some of those decisions and some of the numbers in that one, but overall, I think what left a lasting impact on the judges was Trizano's classic Tiger Shulman forward movement. I really do think that was the big key there, because Klein went 4 of 7 in his takedown attempts, and he did strike quite well in that, and he still lost the fight somehow.
Out of 10 Mike Trizanos, how many Nate Landwehr's is he? Like, they have a similar style. Both guys move forward. Both guys can mix in their striking with their offensive wrestling. Now, I do think Mike Trizano is a superior fighter to Nate Landwehr, or at least the guy in the UFC has shown to be superior, because I do think there's a version of Nate Landwehr out there who can push a great pace, can mix in his wrestling with his strikes, and can just be enough of an MMA fighter to outgrind a lot of guys in this weight class. It's just the fighter who we've seen lately has almost bought too much into his own gimmick. Yes, being aggressive is great. Yes, that forward pressure is great, but at a certain point, the negatives that come along with it far outweigh the pros, and we have seen that in his 2 UFC losses. You had mentioned it. He was a very durable fighter before he came to the UFC, and the few significant strikes that have landed clean on him have put him down. So with Nate Landwehr, I don't know if we're dealing with a Justin Gaethje who had a lot of crazy fights before the UFC, but still had a lot of tread left on the tires, or still has a lot of tread left on the tires now, or is he like a Thomas Almeida, who we knew you for being that crazy fighter before you came into the UFC, but those crazy fights come with a cost, and you can't just get into those wild wars in the regional scene and expect to still be that same durable fighter by the time you make it up to the big leagues, because Nate Landwehr is one of these fighters where he had a flaw, and now everybody's starting to make it known, to where his forward pressure can just be met by shots at the middle, and if you land a clean one, you can put him to sleep.
Well, I'm interested to see, too, for Landwehr, he's a guy that's trained at some smaller gyms in the past, but he's been at MMA Masters down in the Miami area here quite a bit recently, so you do like to see that, especially a good quality of training partner. I think a Danny Chavez that trains there would be a good guy to get ready for against a guy like Klein coming out of that southpaw stance, and he's been training at Sanford MMA. Now, you look at his debut, and it was such a great fight for him. He finishes Shane Young. Then he comes out of Sanford MMA in a second UFC fight, and he has a different approach. He has those takedown attempts against Trezano. I told you I'd give you the numbers, so I will. There was 2 29-28 Trezano over on MMA decisions out of the media members. There were 11 that had it 29-28 for Ludovic Klein. And then you look at the way the judges scored the fight. Adelaide Bird gave round 1 to Klein, the next 2 to Trezano. Derek Cleary gave round 2 to Klein. And Junichiro Kamijo gave every single round to Mike Trezano, which surprised me. I had a 29-28 Klein. Regardless, he has that loss on his record.
I will say this, though. I had Klein to win that fight. I thought it was a pretty disappointing performance by Ludwig Klein based on what his UFC debut was.
Because for Klein, this is what he did. It's almost like, and again, you hate to say it's almost like, but it's almost like he just listens to commentary of just Daniel Cormier when watching fights that end of round takedowns can seal a win for you, because that's what he did in that fight. So a little bit surprising that he kind of went away from that kickboxing style with that great counter-striking and implemented more wrestling, something that I could see kind of being at a disadvantage or a demise to him in a fight against Nate Landwehr, a guy that can just grind and defend a lot of takedowns. So I look at the odds for this one. Klein opened a minus 220 favorite. He's a minus 301 right now. For Landwehr, he opened a plus 185. He's a plus 235. Over on Topology, the votes to us, as surprised as they are to you, 770 total votes, 89% Klein, 73% by knockout for the 11% that have Landwehr. You few. 52% by decision, Matt. I see Ludovic Klein going out there and knocking out Nate Landwehr.
Wow, this is the thing I will say. If Ludwig Klein decides, hey, I'm a wrestler now, and if he shoots a lot of offensive takedowns on Nate Landwehr, he's getting a first-class ticket to Tire Town, because that's the only way Nate Landwehr can win this fight. If he is sound enough defensively to tire Ludwig Klein. And I mean that with the striking and with the wrestling, because I do think Nate Landwehr is a good enough offensive wrestler to where, could he take down Ludwig Klein? Maybe. I don't think he will, but I think he has that possibility. I just don't know what Nate Landwehr can do consistently at any point throughout this fight to win moments and win minutes, because I might be a little bit more hesitant on Klein's going to win by finish. I do think this fight's going to go a little bit later than than Landwehr's 2 previous losses, but I do still like Ludwig Klein this fight.
If Nate Landwehr is going to win, he's got to be like the Canadian band from the 80s, Red Rider, headed by Tom Cochran, throw us a little bit of lunatic fringe. But for me, Matt, I've got the guy who, again, I made the David Dvorak comparison because I love the pro experience outside of the UFC, tons of pro fights against good levels of competition that Ludwig Klein was able to get, and for those reasons, I like Klein in this one. The counter-striking, especially when Landwehr crashes in, it's that right hook, it's that high kick from either stance, too, and I really do think he's got a great opportunity here.
So my question for you, because I think this is important. Now, you watch a lot more football than I do, but I've been trying to get more into the NFL this season, and what they say with a lot of rookie quarterbacks is that just getting, the time and the experience is really important. In-game looks is important. Do you think the fact that Klein fought somebody in Mike Trezano, who is very similar stylistically to Nate Landwehr, almost prepped him for this fight? I know it was a loss, but it was a close fight, and the fact that Nate Landwehr is probably going to move forward a lot, probably going to use his striking into the clinch, do you think that is going to pay off a lot in this fight?
You learned a lot on the regional scene, being a pro, getting big wins. You learn a little bit when you knock out Shane Young that you're a very exciting, fun fighter. You get on people's radars. And I've seen people commenting about this fight on Instagram, on the YouTube community tab, everywhere. They've been saying, Klein and Landwehr, that's the fight that I want. You learn a lot even in a loss to Mike Trezano, which I and a lot of people thought that you won. So I'm absolutely fine with that one. I do like Klein in this one. I think we're both in agreement on the pick.
Yeah.
100%. Both of us going with Slovakia's own Ludwig Klein. Get the win this weekend. Tons of exciting fights. Marquez taking on Jordan Wright. We got a big-time fight between Bruno Silva and Algierte Sanchez. And in the main event, Aspen Ladd, Norma Dumont, the fight you got. Maybe not the one you want. Keep locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.